So in the last episode, we had to take the radiators off so that we could properly flush them. We're going to start putting all of this back on the bike, including the graphics that we worked on in part 18. But we're going to start with putting the radiators and the exhaust back on the bike. This is the state of the thing after we brutally removed all of its components, radiators and exhaust. So we're going to go from here to an installed version of all that stuff pretty quickly. Alright, you stay right there and I'll be right back. Of course you can't see my face. Why would you be able to see my face? Okay, gotta crouch because it's too low. Now that we're back to where we're supposed to be, we're gonna put fluid in the radiators, but this time for real. No leaking there. There's no leaking out of the cylinder head. Is there anything down here? No. And then down by the water pump. Right there. No. Let me check with my finger. Dry. Then there's one other spot that I'm kind of worried about here. It's over here on this side. Right there. No. I think we're alright. But the overflow tube, which comes out of the top right here, did puke a little bit. And it came out right down here. There's an opening. The end of the hose is right there. And it puked down on the floor, just like not even a couple ounces. Okay, now that we've got this thing completely squared away and all the fluids in it, except for fuel, we're going to focus on fuel next. I got to hook up the fuel line and the tank to the carburetor. That involves installing the line, the clamps, and the tank on the frame here. So this is the last time you're probably going to see it, hopefully, with any luck, without any plastic on it. So take a good look. Here's all the body work we're going to start working on. The first thing that's going on here is the tank. I also want to show you, before we get to the tank, what I go through in terms of parts and pieces when it comes to all this stuff. Let me lay it all out here and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so whenever I get new parts in, like for example this order was to fasten all the body work, there's lots of little spacers and washers and things, and I just wanted to use the right stuff in the right place. So whenever I get new parts in, I label them and I go through them and I sort them. So here's a stack of 4 spacers for the front fender, for example, and they're all stapled together. These are all Yamaha parts. You've kind of been seeing me do this throughout the project. You've seen little plastic bags and things. This order, for example, is 42 pieces just to put on the bodywork. So anyway, this is the situation that I go through. This is what I have to do. It takes a fair amount of time and effort. So if you're looking to do something like this yourself, you might want to bear in mind that sometimes slowing down allows you to go faster in the long run. Now I have these all labeled. They're stapled together with like parts. I know where they belong because I put little identifiers on them, and we can go from there. threaded this spring hook into it. Here's the fuel line. We're going from here to here, the bottom of this petcock, the fuel on-off valve. So we need enough to account for the full, putting it all the way on there, and then it's got to come down and hit the carb. And I don't want too much because then it'll cause a kink in the line.
Well, I would cut it
but
long.
I don't want to cut it too short, so yeah, I'm going to definitely cut it long at first. I guess I'll probably cut it right there.
Maybe.
I'm going to mark that. Right there is good. And then we'll cut it. Okay, my hands are gonna be a little bit in the way, just in general in this, but I'll do my best to stay out of the way. So that goes all the way up to the top. And then I'm just gonna I'm gonna have to be careful. Clamp that on. And we've got the same thing down here at the carburetor level. Just push that all the way down like that. That's actually not bad. There's no kinks in the line or anything. So I think I'm gonna leave it that length. And I'll grab it with the pliers. And put the little spring clip on there. Alright, if I were to put fuel in this would be a running motorcycle. Theoretically. If it didn't just like consume its own transmission. Brittany, which piece do you want to put on first?
I don't want to put anything on.
Which piece do you want me to put on first?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I have no idea. However it goes on the easiest, that makes sense.
Let's put on the front fork sliders.
Okay.
Because those are the dumbest.
Okay.
Okay, so this one's first because it's the easiest to deal with. And it goes right in here. I have to take off the 3 bolts that are already on here. Spoke. That's the only thing about T-handles. They kind of whack into things. I'm like a ratchet. And this goes sliding up like that. And this is going to be a pain to get going. And then again, this is plastic. Don't want to get too excited about tightening down plastic. Even though this is actually metal into metal, it puts a fair amount of torque on the plastic. So now the other side here. I'll flip this around. There we go. This side's a little trickier because we have to deal with the brake line, which is actually going to help us out a little bit. I've never worked on a dirt bike so nice.
You mean a brand new one?
Yeah, like all the bolts, everything just nice. Okay, so this clips, these are clips on the back side. It clips onto the brake line. Oh, this top one. That's why it's so pain in the ass. Oh, that would have been much easier. But now at least it'll hold it under. I don't know if they're still doing that. It was very prevalent in the 80s and 90s. But I don't know if they're still putting disc guards on brand new motorcycles. Okay, checking back in. Which is the next part? Do you want to go front to back?
Yep, go to the front. Let's do the front.
Or do you want to go back to front?
Let's do the front.
Fender has to be first. Because the way that the number plate
This
sits
fender?
on top of the fender. Yep, the front fender. Please don't touch
Don't touch it?
the thing that I waxed and made polished and
You're
perfect.
welcome. There you go. Can you even see anything?
Can you give me a rag?
I'm gonna murder you.
Try murdering me with that rag over there. Try to throw it at me as hard as you can.
No.
See if it will kill me. I need all the front fender hardware before I can do this. These 4 spacers go into these 4 holes. Now, the number plate. This is kind of a funny thing, like all the routing of all these, except the brake line, and it goes out in front. So this goes behind the brake line, but in front of the throttle cable and the clutch cable, and the engine cutoff switch. Big geese. This hose comes up. This is a breather hose for the fuel tank. And it attaches to the fuel tank. But we want to wait on that. And then this wraps around here on the handlebars. But we also want to wait on that because we have a surprise. This thing. So these are new. ProTaper just started making these. I really like them. The foam is nice and they accommodate a lot of different sizes of bar risers and clamps.
What's the point of it? So you could leave that part off if you wanted to.
The pad would come flying off if I left this part off.
Gotcha.
After enough bumps, it would eventually work its way off. Beautiful. And then this hose,
Very stiff hose.
yeah, wants to go right there on the fuel tank, on the cap, and then we can push it down.
Oh.
Okay, shroud number 1 gets onto here like this. I want to show you guys something real quick. Some of the bolts, like the 2 that I just put in on the radiator shroud, are these shouldered bolts here. And then others of them, like this one I'm about to put on, is like a regular bolt with a spacer to create a shouldered bolt. And I didn't even know that until I started looking in the parts catalog and at the exploded views of the parts, and I was like, oh, there's all kinds of different hardware that goes onto this. So I never knew that when I bought the bike. That didn't have these on there. So we're kind of going back to OEM here. But something to keep in mind if you're doing your own fasteners is like, well, would I rather have these or would I rather have this? Or in this case, I'm just trying to get it back to the original setup. So. I learned something on the last one. Do the front one first. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, side number plate. Okay, other side. there's a spacer that goes behind this. It's inside the plastic like that. It's a pretty far reach for this bolt. There we go. So there's one other piece of graphics here. I've got two of them, and they go right here. So I think I'm gonna have to perform some minor modification to them. Just cut off this little corner to get it to fit, because this is an angle here. So that's what we're gonna do next. Last piece here before we're done. We got to recover this seat. I actually have new seat foam as well. So we're gonna strip off the cover and apply the new foam, and then put on the new cover. And then we'll pretty much be done with the whole assembly portion of the build. After the assembly, we get to do the motor break-in and some of the other minor nuances. But that's pretty much it, right? We're done there. Yeah, motor break-in after assembly. So here we go. Okay, our glue is dry and we've got it all set up here. The seat pan is all ready to go with the seat foam, and we're ready to put the new cover on. Here is the new cover. I ordered it through a company called Moto Seat. So I went with black with white, and you can see there's a little bit of yellow on there. So this is what's going to be going on the bike. I'm going to walk you through how to do this the way I know how to do it. So here we go. Okay, so normally I would recommend applying the seat cover on a warm summer day, because you want, kind of like putting on tires, you want the most amount of compliance and flexibility out of the material as you can get. We don't have good weather out here today in terms of temperature. It's not warm, so you can put this in front of a heater, or you can throw it into your clothes dryer with a couple of towels for 10 minutes on a medium heat, just to get it a little bit warmer. That's just my perspective on it. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want you to put it on in cool temperatures, and then during the summertime the fabric loosens up, or the material loosens up, and then you've got wrinkles. So that's what we're trying to avoid. The first thing I'm going to do here is take this pocket that's in the top and get it centered over the top of the foam pad up here. So it'll be something like that. And ultimately I may even end up tucking some of this down and stapling it back. But right now I'm mostly concerned about getting the foam oriented correctly, and I need the pocket to be relatively centered up top here. And I'm not even going to throw a staple in up here for now. I'm just going to let it be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this seat cover all the way back, and I'm going to stretch it straight. I'm going to center it up in the back here. I'm going to stretch it straight across, or straight to the back, drape it over the back, and I'm going to put in a couple of placeholder staples in the back here. Again, making sure that we're good and centered in the back, and that we're not off center in any way. Okay, these staples are later going to be removed, so I did them kind of sloppy on purpose. We're not going to worry too much about them. So now what we have is a seat, but it's sort of suspended over the top of the foam. We're going to start from the front up here, and we're going to start working our way down and around the sides. We're going to work on both sides. So we're going to do this side, then we're going to do this side, and we're going to work down on both sides until we get to where you need to be. And then at some point, once we get the middle portion sort of buttoned up, we're then going to pull these rear staples so that there's a little bit of flexibility in the material, and we can deal with that. So there's one. There's a second one. Alright, there it is. We got it on. It's ready to rock and roll. It's nice and tight all the way across and all the way down. I use about 1 billion staples just to get it going. I always forget that an upholstery stapler would be much more appropriate for this. These kind of staplers, these handheld staple guns, they work, but they're just so wide and they don't protrude at all from the stapling face. So you can't really, it's hard to get down into the little nooks and get at these funny little angles. So anyway, I'm gonna put on the brackets that mount to the rear so that it can actually be bolted to the bike, and then we're gonna put it on the motorcycle. we are officially done building this motorcycle. It's completely finished. It's ready to be started. That's going to be it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to be starting the engine break-in process, setting up the suspension, doing some tuning on it to get it ready to rock and roll, getting the carburetor and all the idle adjustment and air adjustments set up. It's currently set up to the factory OEM spec, but I don't know what that's going to perform like with the slightly overboard cylinder and stuff like that. So that's going to be the next video. For those of you who have stuck with me through this whole build process, I want to thank you so much for doing so. This has been a crazy long time for me building this thing, and it's ready to rock and roll. I have other projects going on in the garage. You've seen them in the background in the course of other videos. I have other bikes that I work on, and I have a couple of things that I've been putting off on those motorcycles because I've been trying to push through and get this thing done. So there it is, the rebuilt 94 YZ. Thanks again for everything, and we'll catch you on the next one.